they'll have this idea, like they know they make the best whatever it is, and they sit on the idea. And I'm like, at least let your people in your church know, don't just keep the idea in your head, because then you'll look up and you'll be like, oh, it's 2 years from now, and your friend who doesn't even make a better sweet potato pie than you, she's selling out because she went for it, right? And that's the biggest lesson that I learned, because although you can say to yourself like, oh, I'm a boss, I'm this and I'm that, and you're working towards it, but once that goal is reached, you have to take that moment to say, oh, I did it. There's so much information out there for you to get started. Just go for it. Hi, this is Khadijah Happy, and you're listening to Dreams and Drive.
Hey, Dream Drivers. Welcome to episode 240 of the Dreams and Drive podcast. And today you all are in for a treat. We are going to be speaking with Khadijah Happy, who is the owner and POPrietor of a gourmet popcorn company, Kettle Corn. She's also a speaker, a specialty food business coach, an author, and the founder of Popcorn CEOs. So essentially, as Khadijah would say, she is all things poppin'. And this episode is going to dive into how you can make your dreams pop. Khadijah's path to popcorn and entrepreneurship in general has not been linear. And so she's going to take us along that journey while also sharing some of the main keys to success that all of us dream drivers need in our lives, including criteria for successful businesses, how to navigate pricing, scaling, funding challenges, mistakes to avoid, what to do to start taking action. But essentially, guys, the thing that I really, really want you guys to take away from this episode is the spirit of what it means to be a dream driver, the resiliency, the courage, dedication, the motivation. There's so many things within Khadijah's story that was so inspiring to me just by interviewing with her. So I am really excited for you all to dive in and to hear her journey for yourself. Before we dive into the episode, if you want to join our weekly newsletter, The Keys, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/join. That's dreamsanddrive.com/join. And remember, guys, the Dreams and Drive shop is still open and lots of items are still available. If you want to get your own Dreams and Drive t-shirt, crew neck sweatshirt, or our newly added Dreams and Drive aprons. Yes, guys, we have aprons, limited quantity, so make sure you go on and get them now. Just go to dreamsanddrive.com/shop. That's dreamsanddrive.com/shop. If you love this episode and you want to share it with your friends and your community, please do so. Remember, we are Dreams and Drive across the board, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And make sure you're using the hashtag Dreams and Drive as well. I really know that you guys are going to enjoy Khadijah's story, so please make sure that you are sharing it, really, really making this one that other people want to check out as well. I'm going to be looking for y'all Instagram highlights and the Instagram screenshots and Twitter retweets and all that stuff. So please make sure you're engaging in the digital world as well. All right, let's hear from Khadijah. Hi, Khadijah. Welcome to Dreams and Drive.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I love the name of your podcast, by the way.
Oh, thank you. What do you love about it?
The drive part. It just the whole name. I get visions. I'm I'm always in my head. So when people say things, I think of things. And so I'm just like, vision, go, drive forward. So I love
That's what I want to hear. It's funny because when I first started the podcast, it was actually called the No Parking Podcast. And I just how you first think of something, you're like, oh, this is going to stick. And the tagline was Dreams and Drive. But as I was doing more episodes, I realized that Dreams and Drive was the cashier part, right? So I just kind of nixed the whole no parking thing and just went with Dreams and Drive by itself.
Yeah, well, it's working, so I love it.
Yeah. Well, I love to start our interviews. First, I have to kind of tell our listeners a little bit of a backstory of how we're connected, because it's funny because I listened to your podcast episode on Nikhilah's Side Hustle Pro when that came out. I think that was last March, actually. And then when I was working with Nikhilah to produce her live show, I got to kind of, email back and forth with you. You were a vendor for her event and got to meet you in person at the event. So it's kind of cool how, things come full circle,
Yeah. That was a great experience. And my interview on her podcast has really exposed me to a lot of people I know for sure that I would not have met them before that interview. I still get clients from that and orders. So shout out to Nikayla for that. And then just meeting you at the live podcast, and you were just zipping around, making sure everybody was, in place. Did you need anything? I was like, okay, she was like, glad to put a name with the face. Okay, gotta go. But didn't come back. So you were all over. You had it going on. And you did a really good job. Great job on that.
When I think about it, it's funny. Like you don't know what you don't know, right? And maybe if I had known all that had went into it, I would never have signed on to be a live podcast producer. But the whole process and experience just like gave me so much courage and confidence that, wow, you can really do things that you don't think you can if you just try and you just get started, right? So for me, that was definitely an experience to show me that I'm capable of doing more than I even thought. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I love to get our interview started by going back in time, right? I think it's really interesting to reflect on who we were as children and what was inspiring us. So take us back to, California, you growing up, right? What was inspiring the young Khadijah? What were you up to?
If we go all the way back, and I know it sounds funny when I tell people like, oh, I've always known who I am. I think I've been the same way since I've been 10. And the other day I really sat there and thought about that statement that I said. Of course, I've grown as an entrepreneur, as a woman, as a sister, friend, but the core of Khadijah has literally been the same since I was like 10 years old. I've always known that I wanted to work for myself. I never really thought about like going to an office job or something like that. I didn't, couldn't put it into words or describe it, but I just knew the feeling of just being creative and wanting to make money off of creativity. And I got it from my parents. They both were entrepreneurs and at different times in our lives. And I was always making something and selling something. If it was candy at school, I had a candle company. I tell the story of my sister and I making beaded bracelets and selling them on the beach in Venice Beach in LA. We were like 10 and my mom was there, of course, but it's just something that I remember having those ideas and always having a support system that would be like, okay, well, let's go do it. Dragging my sister along. To this day, I still drag her along. And she's like my biggest supporter. Like if I have an idea, she's just going to go with it. We talk things through, but I've always had that drive since I was 10.
Wow. And I know your parents were entrepreneurs too, so that must have been a really big influence on you as well.
Yeah. So they were an entrepreneur and then they would work and they always had their own thing going. If it was my dad had tutoring in Spanish or he had a newsstand or whatever it was. And then my mom, as a singer and piano students, my friends were her piano students from like kindergarten up to 12th grade. So I've always saw that. And no, I can't play the piano, which I know is random, but she always had that. So I saw some type of side hustle my whole life.
So what was the dream for you, like going into college and, as a young adult turning into a woman, what did you think your life was going to be like?
I honestly wanted to be something in the entertainment, more like on the stage design and stage production.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know. So at the school that I went to was Los Angeles Center for Enriched Studies. It was my high school from 7th grade through like 12th grade. Our electives, I remember taking wood shop and stained glass and set design. Those were my favorite classes. An opportunity to be creative and behind the scenes in set design and production. And then growing up in LA, you would be an extra on like shows like Sister Sister. So you would see the production on the background. So I thought that I was going to actually work in entertainment. So what ended up happening? What ended up happening, I think it was just a dream and I never really pursued it. I went off to college and, got into business and marketing. It just kind of, I guess I never really thought about it. I guess it's not too late, but I never really thought about it after I left Los Angeles. Maybe just because wasn't in that environment. I didn't go into the production in college or anything like that. It's just something that I always wanted to do. I'll look at like the game shows like Survivor or like Big Brother, and I'm looking at the sets in the games. I'm like, I would want to, my dream job would to create those games and that set, because they always have a different set on those shows, and I think that is like super fun.
Well, you never know. Someone might be listening to this episode, right?
Yeah,
and be
right?
like, yo, Khadijah, bring your popcorn, we'll get you more set. You never know.
Right.
So
now I'm thinking about like craft services, providing the popcorn for craft services on set. So it's still be in the entertainment area, but as far as like building, I'm not doing that.
But you know what? It's interesting though. Like, I think like if you think about what goes into set production, right? Like there's a lot of details. You have to kind of know, you have to have a vision, and you have to be able to break things down in little parts and see things come together. So that, I feel like that's something that you're good at now, right? So it's interesting how that, although the dream changed, right? The skills and your abilities were something that you were able to do in all the jobs that you had, right?
Right. And I use those skills in my annual event that I do. It's called Popcorn and Poetry. And so I produce that event solely to sell popcorn and to combine my love for entrepreneurships and creative arts. So I put the show together, and my sister, she's an MC. We sell out, and it's so much fun. And now that I think about it, it's production. It's a straight up production, and it's so much fun. So I take all of the skills that I've learned over the years, and then I combine them in creative ways that just work for me.
So you graduated from Grambling State University with a degree in marketing, right?
Yeah.
All right. So Khadijah's heading into the working world. What was the first stop? What was that first job after college like, or the first few jobs? What were you learning about your skills and your abilities to achieve and to execute?
Oof. My first job out of college, I worked in finance. I was a credit manager for a financial company, and we did mortgages and refinances. And I've learned a lot, but that was so not for me. And I was just like, yeah, I can't do this. And so that was like when the refi boom hit, and everybody was refinancing their houses, getting all kind of loans. And I was just like, this is not for me. Like that office. And then it was very salesy. And so I was just like, yeah, no, that's not for me. Then I went off to graduate school in Northeast Louisiana at University of Louisiana Monroe. And so while I was in graduate school, I worked at Michael's Arts and Crafts. I was a department manager, and I was in the back operations manager. And so that was super creative. And to this day, I tell people all the time, that was like my most fun job that I've ever had. And I loved it because I got an opportunity to see the business side, the human resource, the payroll side. And then I also got an opportunity to be on the floor, see all of the arts and crafts, see what people can create with, just paintbrushes and, all of the art supplies that they had. And that gave me an opportunity to teach candle making classes. This is there as well. So,
you used to sell candles when you were younger, right?
I used to sell candles when I was younger. I used to sell candles during graduate school, and then I did the candle making classes. So I tell people all the time, don't throw away any of your experiences because it'll come back. You just add those to your toolbox.
Yeah, and I think some people are often scared. Like, let's say, if they start a job that may not exactly be in the field that they thought they were going to be in, I always say there's ways to bring in your skills and passions and interests into whatever job you're at. Like when I was in the working world, I used to always find some way to like pitch, let's do interview series, right? Or let's do a video series where I interview somebody. Like there's always ways to bring your passion into what you do.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And we don't have to do one thing. I think that's another thing people get stuck. You don't have to do one thing. Like you can do electives in college that aren't necessarily attached to your major. I mean, it might be expensive, but you don't have to. You can figure it out. So,
and I know when you were at Michael's, you weren't just doing one thing, right? Didn't you have like tell us about your side hustle?
Okay, so at Michael's, my side hustle was the candle making classes. I used the classroom there, and then you were in Michael's employee, but I got an opportunity to teach people how to make classes, and then they would buy the supplies from Michael. So it worked. And then I did a marketing class, how to market and sell your crafts, because that was good. I used my marketing degree and my business degrees to show my clients who were customers that would come through Michael. They were making these like beautiful wreaths and cakes and, shirts and anything that they could craft, but then they wanted to know how to sell it. So I've been teaching people how to sell their crafts since 2004,
Wow.
using the experiences that I've had and just, a little bit here and a little bit there, but I always would come back to my marketing degree, my creativity, and it's something that I do now. In the addition to selling the candles and the candle making classes, I did like wreaths and for holidays and things like that. So I've always found a creative outlet that made me money.
All right. So Khadijah, so I also know something that you are, in your story and your other past interviews, you talk about how you also were in the wedding reselling business. So talk to me about that transition and kind of what happened after your Michael's period.
Oh, wow. That was so much fun. So, like I said, at Michael's, I got an opportunity to be in the back and interact with customers. And one day there was this lady who always was coming in buying like tons and tons of wedding stuff. And I asked her, I was like, what do you do? And she was just like, I'm an event planner. I plan weddings. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I would love to do that. And she was just like, what are you doing after work? And I was like, today? And she was like, yeah. So I ended up working for her for a couple of years. Anytime she had these grand weddings and events, and that sparked an interest in me for the event production side of weddings. So when I moved to Houston in 2006, she actually came down from Louisiana to Houston to do my wedding for me, which was, it was amazing just to create those connections. And then again, fast forward a couple of years later, I got laid off from my job. And I opened a wedding resale shop because working with all those brides and tearing down, the weddings at the end, there was so much craft stuff, so many vases and chair covers, all of the stuff for the big day. And it's like, okay, now what do we do with this? And so my entrepreneur mindset kicked in and I was like, you know what? If there was a thrift store specifically for weddings, that would make some good money because it's literally used one time.
Wow,
and a lot of people use it
Mm-hmm.
and it was budget friendly weddings. I created that space in a local flea market. And so bridesmaids, you would have a whole set of bridesmaids dresses. You and your girls would come, they would sell it to me, or it would be on consignment, and just like the vases. So we had, purple in one corner, pink in one color, and in one corner, and it would just work because again, a lot of times we're reusing the same thing and same concepts as someone else's wedding. And so you just got it at a discounted price. So that's how that started. I took what I saw and I feel the need.
So were you happy in that business? Because I feel like a lot of times we start things and you feel like, all right, I could do this forever.
No. I mean, it was fun. I was happy. I think that the space that I was in wasn't exactly right for that business.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is location, right? And I was in a flea market, so a lot of people, deep discount things. But I learned a lot there. I also learned that I like my weekends. So with you're an event planner and you're with weddings, your weekends are gone, and I love to travel. Not saying that you can't travel during the week, but a lot of the festivals and things happen on the weekends. So I knew early on that, trading my weekends for this wasn't going to be what I wanted to do. Maybe if I had a staff that was there on the weekends, but I'm really a hands-on person. So at the time, it wasn't something that I knew I was going to do long term.
So where did this interest in popcorn come from?
So there at the flea market, I tell the story all the time, and it's so crazy because again, everything comes full circle. The flea market that I was in, they had about 200 booths there, and it was a family friendly space. So there was like carnival rides, and the only people who could sell food out of all of the vendors were the owners of the space. So early on, I noticed that there's money in concessions, and they literally sold drinks, and popcorn, and maybe some other like cotton candy carnival foods. And so I thought up to myself, like, I like kettle corn, which is the variety you typically find at fairs outside that's made in the huge kettles. And I liked it. I mean, it's not nothing too special to the popcorn itself. You create your own special recipes by changing like oils and salts and things like that in your ratio. And so I've always been a snacker. I've loved chips. I always say that if I didn't sell popcorn, I would probably sell chips. But one day I was closing down my event resale shop, my wedding resale shop, and I wanted some popcorn, but the vendor was way on the other side, like probably a half a mile on the other side, maybe 2 miles on the other side. It was a really big event, flea market. And so I was like, I don't feel like going to get it. I was like, I can make this, So I went home and got on the internet. Everything is on YouTube. I started, looking at kettle corn, kettle corn videos. I started looking at kettle corn videos, and I noticed there were some people that were making it indoors, and then I realized you could make it a little bit easier indoors, and that's how it came about. I started literally the story of giving it away to your friends and family. Before I gave it away,
perfecting the recipe, right? Making sure.
Perfected that recipe. I burnt a lot of batches, but I perfected that recipe, and then I started giving it away, and people started ordering it. And like, oh, can you make this for me here? And then I made it for my Lion sister's baby shower. It was Heather's about to pop. And, people were trying to get the leftovers, like, oh, take the leftovers. And they were like, Khadijah, you should sell this. And so initially, when I started the popcorn business or started making the popcorn, I thought this would be a great business because in my research, learning how to make it, I came across tons of articles on, movie theaters and the profit margin on popcorn. And I was like, oh, this is really good. And entrepreneurial mindset, always thinking about what is going to be my next product. My mom would always say, you just need something that's like inexpensive and sell 1 million of those, right? Then you'd be a millionaire. I'm like, okay, So the criteria for my next product I knew was going to have to be consumable, bring me repeat customers, and easy to start, inexpensive to start. So that was popcorn. It fell into that 3 criteria. So it was inexpensive to start, consumable, and bring me repeat customers, because once they ate it, they would come back for more. So
one thing that you didn't say, which I think a lot of us often get stuck on, right, is this notion of being special, right? Like, was there something that made Kay's kettle corn so much different from other popcorn? Like, were you here trying to think of how can we stand out, or how can we do this? Or did you just know that you just had to find your consumer and then sell it to the consumer? So I think a lot of us get stuck on that point. You know what I mean? Like, we're here trying to like design the best logo and, make sure we have the best of this. But like, what was that experience for you?
No, like I said, I switched it out to the oil and the salt, which made it a little bit healthier, right? Just a little bit. It was like real, it wasn't like high fructose corn syrup. It was just real sugar, So it wasn't something that was so unique, but I knew from my marketing background that the way that I sold it and locating the consumer was going to set me apart. That's it. Like, the product is there. I'm not reinventing that, but I am marketing it to customers by bringing it to them, whereas you typically have to come to fairs to get it. And so initially, before it was called Kay's Kettle Corn, it was going to be like kettle corn delivery or something like that. But that was the concept. I'm still doing that, but I changed the name. I need to actually name it. She was just like, well, why don't you just name it Kay's Kettle Corn? I was like, you know what? You're right. And then that was it. Because again, trying to be so different, it's like, come on.
I was going to ask you about the name, because I feel like it's so simple, right? Like, it's not like anything. Not saying it's not deep, not saying that it shouldn't be deep, but it's really so simple, and you're still so successful. I think a lot of us get caught up on the stuff that does not matter,
Right. And I tell that to my clients all the time. They're like, well, I need this and I need this many followers and I need to get this camera and I need to have this photo shoot. And I'm like, no, you need to sell these products. It's what you need to do, right? You have the product. Your product is amazing. Now go find the customers. Everybody has to know that you do it. Like, it's only so much, unless you're finding like some exotic spice from somewhere deep in the jungle somewhere. Like, come on. It depends on what your goals are too. My goal is to make money. I'm an entrepreneur. While I love popcorn, I have 2 flavors and I just added the second flavor 2 years ago. Because I'm not into, all the flavors. And I just look at how bakeries, they're passionate about cakes. I'm passionate about snacking, but I'm also more passionate about the coin.
Yeah, you think about it, like when you go to the movie theaters, like I don't necessarily want to have to choose between 15,000 different types of, toppings for my regular popcorn. I just want my tried and true because it's like a comfort food. Right. You know what I mean? Sometimes going simple and just developing that niche can really help, dream drivers out.
I was going to say absolutely, because right now my niche is women empowerment events, and as a speaker, I bring popcorn. So it's just the product is so simple that you can easily get caught up by trying to be different. But once you find out who your market is, and then you stick to that market, the coins will follow.
Yeah, and I remember even at Michaela's event when you were vending, like you came in, you had your boxes, right? And you sold out. I think you sold out before the show started.
I did. And I'm like, dang, but events are tricky. You never know, like, because I was flying in, I didn't want to bring so much, but I'm glad I sold out. And again, that is my target market. We support, like, Black women, we support each other, contrary to what some may think. We support, and just the people buy from people who they like and who they can associate with, especially because I'm the face of my brand. I think it kind of helps that, I'm personable and I love to support other people. So that energy just comes back too.
Yeah, and people love your story as well. Like when people feel like they can connect with someone's story, I think that that also it's also important. That's why, like, I know a lot of us often wonder, like, how much of our story should we put out there? I don't want to be the face of my brand, but people want something to connect with. Like, and you can always curate what parts of your story you tell people, but give them something, right? Something that they can at least resonate with. So that's definitely a plus. And thinking about one of the things too that I think a lot of us often get confused on, I know I haven't had a lot of food entrepreneurs on the show, but it's pricing, right? Because it can be tricky when you're in the food business, but I know popcorn has a very high margin. So how were you able to, what were your thoughts when developing your pricing?
When developing pricing, I knew that I was going to have a simple product and simple ingredients, right? And so oftentimes, you have products that have like nuts and chocolate and the more expensive ingredients, you're going to have to charge more. But I looked at my competition in the Houston area, and then I also did some online research, and we're most likely locally getting our products from our raw materials and ingredients from the same space. And they've been in business longer than I have. So I literally just went with the pricing that most of the competitors had.
Okay. So another point, you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel a lot of times.
Right. Yeah. In 2020, a lot of the information is out there, readily available on the internet. So don't be afraid to do your research by going in the stores and then, searching online. And a lot of people, especially the bigger companies, they've done their research and they've spent lots of thousands of dollars on salaries to get this pricing together. So I just went off of what they did.
And the thing that I really love about your story, Khadijah, is just your ability to scale, right? So tell us about the Cottage Food Law, right? And how that affected you, and then kind of how you were able to scale from doing this at home to getting a commercial space and filling up trucks with popcorn. Yeah. Like talk to us about that. Cause I think, it's something that a lot of us wonder, like, how did she do that?
Yes. And so, Texas has a cottage food law. A lot of states have them. I don't think New Jersey has one yet, but a lot of states have a cottage food law that allow you to make food products at home that are non-hazardous. So think about your cookies and cakes that don't require refrigeration. Non-hazardous means it's not going to spoil. And so you have your jams and your preserves and things like that, as long as it doesn't have to be refrigerated. So Texas has a cottage food law, which is probably, I'm maybe being biased here, but it's one of the best because you can make up to $50,000 a year at home in your home kitchen. And you can, before you have to go into a commercial space. So as I was going through my research to start my popcorn company, I came across the cottage food law. So I was like, okay, I don't have to get a commercial space, which, reduces costs. So I can literally start right now. I just need to get my food handler's permit and then I can start now. The food handler's permit, you can get that online and it's like $10. And it's basically about food safety, washing your hands, keeping, the kitchen clean, your workspace clean, common sense stuff that you should know, once you're
hopefully,
food, hopefully, you know that. And so I started with that, but I went a step further and got my food manager's license, which is a longer test. And it's it was like $75. It was a longer test. You do it online and that allows you to be in a commercial space. So I was always forward thinking, knowing that I planned on growing outside of my kitchen. So in 2014, I started the business officially in 2013. If I backtrack a little bit, after my line sister's baby shower that I mentioned, they were like, you need to sell this popcorn. So I did a soft launch at homecoming at Grambling State University, sold out. Then that was like in November of 2012. Fast forward to January 2013, I officially had the launch. And that's when I was still doing it at home in my kitchen. And for a couple of years until I quit my full-time job in 2014, of October 2014, I decided like, okay, now that I don't have a job, I'm going to focus on this full time because I knew what recruiting looked like. I wanted to see what it looked like to give 100% to K's Kettle Corn, this business. So I actually worked with another entrepreneur who was in a candy space. They had a candy store. They had a commercial space in their warehouse that I was able to rent that space. So which me moving into a commercial space allowed me to have a different customer. The stores like Kroger, I was in Kroger because I was in a commercial space.
Wow.
I was able to do that. So I learned a lot from that experience, but scaling up from my kitchen countertops in my kitchen on that stove to a 32 ounce, which is like a really big, one of the bigger popcorn machines that I got on eBay for like $400. It's like a $3,200 machine, and I crossed my fingers that it will work.
And it worked?
And it worked, and it still worked. That same machine has made me so much money. Like my machine, my popcorn guy who comes out and fixes on it and stuff, he's like, they don't make machines like this anymore. It's like from the 80s. But I have newer machines, but that's my go-to machine because you can just literally change out the parts and it's like an old car that just keeps working. They just don't make,
it's like a Toyota from the 90s, right?
Yep,
those things.
Exactly. They're made to last. So, I scaled up that way. And I got more and more clients because everyone needs to know that I sell popcorn, and my friends are champion for me. We're in positions now where we're in corporate America. We have our corporate cards. So they would think about me for ordering, popcorn for their meetings or employee appreciations, things like that. So that's how I was able to scale.
So what was, it's funny because as you're talking, right, I feel like we're going up this hill of the K's Kettle's Corn story, right? We're at the top of the hill now. What's the challenge? Like, what were the things that you were working through? What were the, obstacles hitting you? Or even that can be the challenges back then, challenges is now. Like, what were the things that might have been some roadblocks along the way?
One of the biggest challenges is funding. So I was working in corporate America and I use that. And I tell people all the time, I use my 9-to-5 as a tool. Like, you don't always have to quit your job, especially if it's an environment that allows you to do both. So funding was always an issue because now I went from my home to paying rent in a warehouse space. And so those are fixed costs. So I got like, okay, I have to sell, X amount of dollars to make rent, and then I have a profit, and then, I can live off of that because I didn't have another job at the time. So hustling and trying to find these customers all the time. It's busy season, and like October, November, December is super busy for me, has always been. So what am I going to do for the rest of those months? So I had to get creative that way. And then, working with the price of corn goes up and sugar goes up. So it's like, what do I do? Do I charge more to my customers, or do I eat those costs? Like, I haven't increased my cost of my products since 2013. And then shipping cost goes up. So you have to figure out like, okay, how am I going to do this? Because even though we're a specialty food product and we're not competing with Amazon, we're in the Amazon age where people expect stuff 2 days from now. Right. And so it's like 2 days from now with free shipping. And it's like, well, how
it's like, what?
Yeah. You
going to pay for that?
Like, right. And so because popcorn is light, but it's voluminous, so they charge by the type of box it is, like the size of the box.
You can't send that in a poly bag, like you have to put it in a box.
Right. And so those are additional costs. You have to pay for the box. You have to pay for shipping. You have to pay for the tape. You have to pay for the label. Those are additional costs that I did not have at home because I would you would call me and I would come bring it to you. And it was that simple. So there's always challenges. Like right now I'm in a space where I need to figure out how I'm going to raise $150,000 to pay for this bagging machine, because I'm always going to like conferences and seeing what's new in the snacking world. And it's so much technology that I literally can press a button and it will pop, bag, and seal everything. But it comes with a cost. So it's like, okay, now what do I want to do? Do I want to get this machine and invest in a space that is not mine? Because now with this machine, I need additional air conditioning because I've got to keep this $100,000 machine cool. So those are the new challenges that I'm facing. So
I know beyond popcorn though, right? You also have other revenue streams as any smart entrepreneur does. Like, what are the other things that you were doing to kind of, I know it's not going to solve the big funding issue,
right,
but just to make sure that you're not just solely relying on one source of revenue.
Well, in addition to, selling the tangible product of popcorn, I'm also a speaker. I'm a food business coach, which has really taken off because a lot of people didn't know about the Cottage Food Law. So being a specialty food business coach, I can share my knowledge along the way with my clients to help them get started. And I've got clients from Nigeria to Vegas. Like, it's clients all over the world who downloaded my ebook called Popcoins, How to Make $500 a Month with a home-based popcorn business. And that's a book that I wrote in 2016. I self-published, and you can get it on my website now. It literally will go through all of the steps. I didn't leave anything out. And I call it more of a how-to guide because it's not like something that's so deep. It's like, look, this is what you need to do. You need to get these licenses, perfect your product, find the events, and sell your popcorn. That's it. But sometimes people think it's deeper than that. But it's also a great reference point to see like, oh, this is literally what she did. And this is where she is now to get started. So I have the ebook. I have the specialty food coaching, speaking, and I'm super excited about this one. It's a children's book that I'm almost ready to print. It's called Polly and the Popcorn Stand.
Ooh.
I know, right? So my last name is Polly, and it's about a little girl. It's about teamwork, entrepreneurship, and solving a problem and sharing. So it's a super cute little book, and I think I'll probably end up turning that into a series. But yeah, it's super cute. So it should be out probably like April. I've been sitting on it for a long time, but these are one of those projects. I'm like, Khadijah, go ahead and get it done. But I'm so happy with the way that it's turning out. And what else? I'm thinking about like international expansion, but like right now, money is like the easiest way to get to the money is for me is selling my products, the coaching. And I added these white moon bounces, which are like those bouncy castles, to my carnival and concessions to Kay's Kettle Corn because I found out just again, as an entrepreneur, when I'm making these deliveries to these birthday parties and participating in fairs, they would have, those moon bounces out there. And then I saw a viral video a couple of years ago about the adults jumping in this white bouncy castle. And so
I saw that. That's a great way to upsell popcorn. You want a popcorn and you want a moon bouncy.
Right. And so it's for adults and it's for kids and it's super cute. So I imported them last year, and so I have 2 of them. So that's an additional streams of revenue because I'm in the same space. You think of popcorn carnivals, it's in the same space, and I already have the contacts of the event planners. And I'm one of the few, if not the only one in Houston right now that has it. So demand is pretty nice for that as well.
Oh, wow. So, along this journey, Khadijah, was there ever a point where you felt like giving up, right? And if so, how did you work through that?
All the time. Giving up because I like to do a lot of various things, right? And so not that it wasn't going well. It's just like, am I over this? Right. So
I feel you in that one because you could be doing something for so long. That's not that it's successful. People want it, but that entrepreneur inside of you is like, what's next? Or, is this the death of the creative me?
Right. So what I find myself doing is adding things instead of dropping this. I'll add it. I'll add, again, the white moon bounces, or now I can speak and share my story, or like now I'm looking at expanding into West Africa and Ghana with popcorn. So and that incorporates my love for travel too. So instead of flat out just like, okay, I'm over this, I find ways to incorporate my other passions with popcorn. So I use popcorn as the tool to do the things that I want to do and to get into the spaces that I want to get into. Because everybody likes popcorn.
In your entrepreneurship coaching, where do you find a lot of your clients are making some mistakes, are making the biggest mistakes, when you're working with them?
Honestly, I think they overthink it. They want it to be, of course, and they have amazing products, right? But they overthink how it looks, the presentation of the packaging. They think they have to have this grand opening, or they think that they have to have this grand packaging that has 5 different flip tops and colors. And no, people are going to throw that in the trash and they're going to eat your product. So make sure that they can see the product, that it's clear, that it looks pleasant, something that you definitely would want to eat, but do not overthink it. And they don't get started. They'll have this idea, they know they make the best, whatever it is. They make the best tea cakes, the best peach cobbler, the best popcorn, and they sit on the idea. And I'm like, at least let your people in your church know, and you'll have those customers, but somebody has to know that you do this. Don't just keep the idea in your head, because then you'll look up and you'll be like, it's 2 years from now, and your friend who doesn't even make a better sweet potato pie than you, she's selling out because she for it,
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. They overthink it. Just do it. We are all, especially the people in my space, and again in the year of the YouTube, there's so much information out there for you to get started. Just go for it. Go for it. Nobody's saying making drastic changes like, you got to quit your job or do anything no. So I have the acronym, the saying I say, make your dreams pop. POP, which is plan on purpose. Write it down, make the plan, be purposeful about it, and go get it. Pop is an action word. When you think about pop, it's exciting. You have to take action. Take action. That's what they don't do. They don't take action.
But what if you put your all into the dream and nothing ever comes of it? What would you say to that person?
For instance, there's 7 days in a week, right? And do you have the same dream every day? There's multiple things that you can do. If that one didn't work out, find something else that does. Or find a space to contribute to a part of your dream. If part of your dream is opening a yoga studio, right? Find out if you can volunteer at a yoga studio or to teach classes at a yoga studio. You don't have to go all in all the time, because then you might realize that, I'm just like the act of doing yoga. I don't like the business side of it, right? because sometimes we think that we have to do it all. You can outsource a lot of things. And if your dream didn't come to fruition, figure out like what parts of your dreams that did come true, right? And then outsource the rest, or figure out why the rest didn't. You don't have to throw away the whole thing.
And I think with any experience, like the thing that will change, or the thing that will, hopefully you'll learn a lot about yourself, right? Like, what do you think along this journey was the thing that you really learned about yourself?
Ooh, the best thing that I learned about myself is that I can do it. Like I'm in my head a lot. And so I realized that once I got that first $30,000 check, like, for one,
that's a nice check.
That was a nice check. And then I got it again. Right. And so I was just like, Khadijah, you're doing it. You are doing it. And I can do it. Like, I left my job and I was able to put a team together and we knocked it out the park. Got great reviews and we did it again. And then we did it again. So now I'm thinking, okay, what else can't I do? What else is there that I wanted to do that I can do? Right. And that's the biggest lesson that I learned, because although you can say to yourself like, oh, I'm a boss, I'm this and I'm that, and you're working towards it. But once that goal is reached, you have to take that moment to say, oh, I did it. And so that's the biggest lesson that I learned, that I actually did it. Because I'm real confident. I'm a Leo, so I'm real confident off the rip. But to actually have that proof that I did it, yeah, that was a big lesson for me.
And so finally, I want to end off on this because I think it's something that's important and we should talk more about, is the whole idea of making sure we're taking time for ourselves and self-care, right? And making sure like our dreams don't become the only thing that we do, right? What does that look like for you? How do you make sure that you still take time for Khadijah and you take time to enjoy life? Because, life is sacred. Life is something that, I feel like we should always try to at least enjoy it while we're making these passions and these interests of ours come to life.
So, the saying, work hard, play hard. That is my motto. Like, I will go hard for months I work great on projects. And so once that project is over, I'm chilling. I'm like, okay, I don't miss a friend's party or I don't miss anything. And that's self-care for me because I like being around my friends and family. So that's self-care for me. And then I create spaces that I absolutely enjoy just to chill. My patio at my home, it's not something that's like super grand, but I have a fountain and I have a swing there that I just literally sit there and just swing. Like, don't do anything.
The simple things, right?
The simple things. And then I like to travel. So I do that. But again, those are the things that I do. I'll push pause in a minute. Like, I don't have a problem pushing pause. As long as I don't miss a deadline and I have some time in between, it looks like I'm always busy. Like, to some people, it looks like I'm always working. And then to the other people, it looks like I'm always chilling, because I found a proper balance with that early on. I realized that is important. Our mental space, our mental health is super important. So like I said, you can look at me one week, I'm like going super hard, and the next week I am chilling.
And because you have that online business too, you have that passive income, right? So people are making orders and all you got to do is worry about fulfilling them. So
worry about fulfilling them. Right. Mm-hmm.
So, Khadijah, where can our dream drivers find you online if they want to connect with you, if they want to buy some popcorn, support the cause?
Mm-hmm. You can find it at kayskettlecorn.com, and I'm super active on Instagram at kayskettlecorn, or you can send me an email, k@kayskettlecorn.com. But yeah, I have all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Okay. So, Khadijah, if you want to be a dream driver, you have to have your keys to success, right? So tell me 3 things that you think every dream driver needs in their toolkit before they hit the road.
Ooh, a journal. Absolutely a journal. Because sometimes you just want to put it to actual paper. Something about the act of writing it out and then reading it back to yourself. So I always keep a journal with me. Water. Water is very important. You got to stay hydrated. And they have some super cute, like motivational bottles. We can't take for granted just reading things and putting positive things into our subconscious. So I think that when you drink water and then you're reading a message that that works well as well. The third thing I'd say in our toolkit would be,
What's something that's helped you along this journey?
Helped me along this journey. Positive affirmations. Again, I say to myself, it's something, my mom is very rhythmic. My mom, like I said, she was a singer, and I say it's our family and our business motto. So find a motto that works for you and that resonates with you. And if you don't have one, you can share mine. It's called all whole, all complete, nothing missing, nothing broken, right people, right place, right time, right checks. So that's something that I say to myself all of the time. Like before I walk into the warehouse, it's like, okay, I need everything to align today. So it's about being in alignment. So find what makes you feel in alignment and go for it. If it's keeping crystals in your pocket, if it's burning sage, whatever it is, listening to music, whatever it is, saying a mantra, just keep that close and move forward.
Thank you so much, Khadijah. I have so many notes here. It's like I'm about to start a popcorn business. Okay, it's gonna be Raina's Kettle corn. I'm just playing.
Listen, Raina's, it's so much popcorn is great. So I highly suggest it.
It's funny. It's like this memory I have as a kid. So my mom was like the Whole Foods mom. She always kind of was into like getting everything naturally. And I remember there was this period of time, I don't know if Whole Foods used to have this on sale, but she would come back with like these kernels, right? Just all this corn kernels. And then she would tell my dad, all right, let's do different things. So as a kid, my dad used to make kettle corn in like the Dutch pot on the stove. And, sometimes it was burnt, but like I do have a fond memory of my parents experimenting with making homemade popcorn because it was supposed to be healthier for us.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah, good memories.
Popcorn, that's what I love about popcorn. It's like good memories. If you're watching TV, if you're hanging out with friends, if you're at a movie, you have a memory attached to popcorn. If you're studying, whatever it is, you'll have a memory attached to popcorn. And that's really what I love about it.
Well, thank you, Khadijah.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right, so that's a wrap for episode 240 with Khadijah. I hope you enjoyed hearing her dream driving journey as well as her keys to success. If you love this episode, please, please, please share it with your community, share it with a friend, screenshot us, post a link on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you're social or online. Make sure you're sharing this episode. You can find us across the board at Dreams and Drive, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can also use the hashtag Dreams and Drive when sharing as well. If you want to join our weekly newsletter, The Keys, and you get weekly updates delivered right to your inbox, your email inbox, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/join. That's dreamsanddrive.com/join. And guys, I say this every week and I'm going to continue to say it. Please continue to support the Dreams and Drive shop. I really do appreciate your orders. I love seeing dream drivers wearing their Dreams and Drive gear. We have lots of new colors in stock. So just go to dreamsanddrive.com/shop. That's dreamsanddrive.com/shop to view our t-shirts, crew necks, and now we have a limited quantity of Dreams and Drive aprons. And for those of you who asked me, hey, Raina, how can we support the show in other ways? You can go to dreamsanddrive.com/donate to see our options. I really encourage people who want to be monthly supporters to join our Patreon community. For $5 a month, you can sign up to be one of our Patreons. And I really do appreciate everyone who really supports the show in that way. It definitely means a lot. And lastly, wherever you're listening to us, please, 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 make sure that you are subscribed so that you get notifications every time we have a new episode. And if you're listening to us specifically on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and review. Those reviews really mean a lot. And they also help other people who are browsing to kind of see what the show is like and what you get out of it. So please continue to leave those ratings. Please continue to leave those reviews. And also, I really want to just say thank you to everybody who's really made this past month so memorable and special. As you guys know, I've really kind of been taking a short hiatus in the beginning of the year. And so for the past month, I've been coming back out with episodes. You guys have been supporting This month has been probably one of the highest downloads we've seen since, I want to say, like mid last year. So you definitely are enjoying the episode. You're definitely going back and listening. You're definitely sharing. And I appreciate that. And I'm looking for new guest recommendations. People, if you want to pitch yourself, please just go to dreamsanddrive.com/pitch. That's dreamsanddrive.com/pitch. If you know of somebody who has a great story, or if you yourself, you really think you have a great story, please do that. And I have a little tip for you. If you are going to pitch, make sure that you understand what the show is about and tell me a story, right? Just don't tell me about yourself. Tell me why you think you'd be great for Dreams and Drive. Those pitches really do help me a lot. It doesn't have to be the longest pitch, but a thoughtful pitch does really go a long way. As always, keep dreaming, keep driving. And also, in the essence and in the spirit of this week's episode, I'm going to add, keep it poppin'. Bye, guys.